Hey guys, another video here for you. I came across this and I thought, hey, this would be a kind of good thing to talk about. Where Shawn Layden is apparently talking about the potential to go down to one platform. This is something I've kind of been saying a bit in certain podcasts, and look, I tend to agree. I just don't know when this will happen, but I wanted to kind of go over what my thoughts are as to where this might end up, right? So he's basically seeing the obvious that the current, the two, I guess, more powerful consoles, though I think Nintendo's going to come in with a significantly better console the next generation. Xbox and PlayStation are essentially PCs right now. They are running AMD hardware. They're basically x86 machines that run a basic PC build. Is it time to sort of take away the need of having distinct hardware? We needed that as we kind of grew into this industry, where the hardware was kind of built bespoke and it had very specific architectures, and game developers had to kind of make a development choice to put a game on that platform and then optimize to that platform. That's almost gone away now with basically it's x86. It's a standard PC hardware, and you just have to optimize a bit for the specific device, but ultimately it's just running standard PC stuff. Now this is where things get more interesting, and maybe people will get a little annoyed, but the reality is there's PC, which is not going to go away, right? There's Mac and PC. Well, Mac, unfortunately, does not have an open ecosystem where you can build whatever you want. They're very locked down to the devices they give you. That does make it more challenging for them to sort of enter into the PC gaming market. A lot of that is based on ability to do whatever you want. You can build whatever you like. So the PC gaming market kind of thrives as the PC console, as a PC platform. So I don't see that going away. So that essentially is Windows. Now, if you go into the two major consoles, let's just keep Nintendo out of it for a second, and you look at Xbox and you look at PlayStation. PlayStation basically uses something the equivalent of Linux, but it's called BSD, and then layers on some Linuxy niceness onto their platform. Xbox is essentially Windows. Well, if PC is going to stick around, I don't see that going away, and you want to have one platform, that platform kind of looks like Xbox, doesn't it? Because Xbox is kind of baked into Windows, and you also have the console itself that leverages Windows. So the Xbox marrying itself into Windows thing just seems like an obvious next step. And you could see a Windows 12 that just has an Xbox mode, and you're getting devices from partners. Asus has the ROG Ally, and Legion Go from Lenovo, etc. There's so many out there now. This is kind of the pattern, right? So at some point, do we see the console world kind of become Windows, and they just run it in console mode, and you don't see the parts of Windows that give you the desktop UI and keyboard mouse interface? It's now controller interface, right? That's essentially what Xbox gives you. So if you kind of look at that 5, 10, 20 years out, what does it look like, right? Mobile's still going to be there, right? So there are like stats about where things are going as far as revenue and whatnot, right? And then how the industry looks by region and all that. But more interestingly, mobile is still big chunks, right? And then you got PC with free-to-play and premium kind of added together, premium and free-to-play for consoles, right? And you can kind of put that together and see, okay, cool. The PC platform isn't going away. The mobile platform is still the biggest chunk. And is that going to take over the rest of it? Is that going to be the platform? It could be. It could very well be that mobile is the platform. That is a potential. Though I tend to think mobile will never compete at that high-end level. So, and it could not matter, right? We could get to a point where graphics are good enough, and in 15 years, your phone is going to be so powerful that a 4090 would be a joke to it, right? And that's today's best video card. And in that world, my phone's good enough. I don't need anything else. Fair enough. That could be a potential. I tend to think not, though. I tend to think we're still going to have a PC that's going to have the ability to have whatever you want, and that is going to be the majority platform for sort of premium play. And I would think it also would end up being a good chunk of the free to play, right? You could also look at this mobile line and say there's going to be a lot of free to play too, right? A lot of the mobile games are free to play. But let's take that and say, like, there's going to be mobile, and we're probably not going to get away from that. And there's going to be sort of the PC level, and console will sort of just merge into that. So in my world, this is what I kind of see long term. I just don't know when it would happen. Is that, the idea of having a bespoke hardware with a bespoke environment is going to kind of fizzle, and it's going to be, your iOS, Android, and it's going to be Windows. And Windows will offer a console mode that will happen to just work for any given manufacturer. And so I would not be surprised if there's a PlayStation down the line that basically just is an Xbox. It basically runs Windows. It has the Xbox UI. So what he was going after, he never specified which platform would win as far as Shawn, what he was saying here. But I tend to agree that this is kind of the direction. There's no point in trying to go back to having specific hardware, specific environment, and make developers, jump through hoops to make that work, right? Think of the PS3, but even go further back when you had like the NES and the Sega and all that. They were very different hardware architectures. It's how that worked, and you had to develop to that hardware. I don't know if that's necessary anymore. You just kind of make one SKU for Windows and throw it wherever you want. I don't know if that would ever transcend into mobile as well. Certainly Windows does run on ARM. I don't know if they plan to go back to creating a phone, but put that aside. I assume that that's going to still be there. There's going to be iOS, Android, and then Windows will probably be the majority platform for premium gaming. You're looking at, that being the platform, which essentially means Xbox kind of default wins. And I'm sure that's going to be controversial, and some people are going to be annoyed by it, but I don't see how PlayStation or Nintendo can offer the same thing that Windows does. I don't see it, right? The pattern to me is obvious. You got PC gamers who are diehard PC gamers. They're going to stay on PC. You hear about all the no, but it can be Linux. Really? Where's the big Linux gaming? I don't see it. It's just not there. You have Steam, the Steam Deck. But even there, it's saying we're just emulating Windows, right? And therefore, you can run your Windows games on that box. It ultimately behooves them to just move over as well. They could just use Windows 12 and make it simple, and that way they get Game Pass, they get the other stores. It's just a simpler answer, right? You have a device that just gives you all the games, and ultimately that's what gamers want, right? They just want to be able to play the games. So this is kind of an interesting, statement, and I agree with him. I'm not sure if he's seeing it the same way I am. He probably is, though. Is that, hey, the platform that's going to go forward is going to be the one that kind of gives you an inclusive, gaming experience. And that, folks, it's Windows. That is where you can, for those of you who don't try it on PC, you have multiple stores. You have all the games, right? PlayStation puts their games on Windows. Xbox puts their games on Windows. You have backwards compatibility all the way back to the 80s. And there's no hey, I have to have a specific thing to do that. It's just native. You just can play whatever you want. And then, there is the Nintendo platform, and I'm not sure how long they hold out, right? Their games still hold relevance, but how long will that keep going? At some point, they're going to have to, change their direction as well. But right now, that doesn't seem to be a problem for them. They have, IP that people will still continue to go buy their hardware to play. But I think that's going to start waning at some point. And, if you have the choice of, say, the next Lenovo Legion, and it plays everything, right? Everything. It has all the PlayStation games, all the Xbox games, all the PC games. You have all of it, plus all the different stores, right? You have your Amazon store, which people may not realize that Amazon has a launcher, and you have the Epic Game Store, you have Steam, you have GOG, on and on, right? All those stores are there, and you can play whatever you want. Game Pass included, Ubisoft Plus included, EA Play, I believe, is their subscription, right? You have all these options. Why wouldn't people want to choose that over, say, the Switch 3 or whatever the heck would be out at the time, and say, well, why do I want that one platform where people have to put the game there, and maybe they do, maybe they don't, whereas PC, it's kind of guaranteed, right? Everybody's going to put their game there. So once we're there, what do we, how do we see that going? I don't know if it's gonna be very competitive for Nintendo to continue to do their own thing, which is where Shawn was. Right now, Shawn had kind of said, let's leave Nintendo out of it, but I don't think we should. I think we should see Nintendo do the same thing at some point. I don't know when that is. I think they will be the furthest one to even attempt to do that, because I think they can see their properties, right? They can see their IPs, Mario, Zelda, all that stuff, Pokemon, and say, hey, you know what? We can attract customers, and we don't need to play in that game. But there is a cost to doing hardware, so at some point they may play the same thing and say, make our own, or can we just go into the open ecosystem and just add our games onto that platform? The things they lose, of course, is the store, right? PlayStation has a store on the PlayStation platform, and that gives them revenue, right? Every game sold, they're making their platform cut. And I don't know what happens to that. Nintendo, the same thing, right? Microsoft has given up on that potential because, there's many stores on Windows, right? So they just let people put whatever they want on Windows. They're happy to just sell you a device, right? They sell you a license to Windows, and you can go ahead and have whoever wants to make the device. They don't care. They're happy to just take the Windows license. So that's a different model, right? Microsoft is going to sell you the OS, and then they'll sell you games. They want to sell you games or a Game Pass subscription, and they're happy. Will the other platforms do something similar? There's nothing stopping PlayStation, for instance, from taking PlayStation Plus and in their extended ones, like I think it's extended and premium. I think those are the two options they have beyond the essentials, and putting that on PC and saying, hey, you know what, you can subscribe to ours as well, and we'll have a curated list of games, including our own, plus also all these third-party options. Again, it's a very viable business path for them. Ubisoft Plus, for instance, does that on PC. You do get third-party games as well that are not from Ubisoft, so you get their games in full form, right? The Ultimate Editions, plus you get third-party games, curated list of third-party games. So it's viable to do, and it's a potential for them to look at going forward. I don't know if they are doing that or not, right? But it just seems like the obvious next step. When that happens is the big question, right? So we'll see if that happens short term or long term. But I think there is a potential for that to happen. That will be sort of one platform for developers. This is really cool. In that you just basically put the game out on Windows, and it just happens to be able to work on everything. You then can say, I want to be on this store or that store or whatever, right? So I want to be in the Xbox ecosystem that gives me sort of the Microsoft ecosystem, and it gives me Xbox achievements and all that. Or I can be on the Steam side, or I can be on the Epic side, or I can be on all of them, right? There's nothing blocking that from happening. And maybe at that point, PlayStation is also a launcher on the Windows world, and they can be a store, and you can put it there, right? This is kind of the world would probably end up in. Again, I don't know if it's going to happen short term, but what Shawn is saying, I tend to agree with. I think that is the path. It makes the development world much better. People are already developing games on Windows. That's kind of the majority platform for developing games anyway. The big exception to that being if it's mobile, you would have to likely develop on Mac to put it onto iOS, which tends to be the larger platform, oddly enough, even though its market share is much smaller than Android. I think the majority of the gaming revenue comes from iOS. So looking in that world, we'll see if Mac can do something here, if Apple can come in and say, no, we'll allow more openness in our Apple Mac platform. I doubt that will happen. They're very kind of stuck in that mindset of we create the hardware and that's what you'll get. But if they do that, they can certainly be, give competition to Windows as far as the gaming world goes. I don't know that happens though. I wouldn't really bet on it. It's not really their mindset. So, but hey, it's always a possibility. So I think it would become iOS, potentially Android. That's still there, and hopefully it kind of picks up on the gaming world, and then Windows. And Windows would be the kind of major platform for all the premium games. That would be my guess. But again, there's so much potential for disruption here. We don't know that something else comes in. Say, augmented reality takes off, right? We've been seeing VR pushed a lot, but AR could be the future. And if that happens, that could be a disruptor that changes the whole thing. We don't know, right? So mobile could become the thing because AR is the thing, and AR tends to run on mobile. Okay, fair enough. We will see where the world goes, right? But if you had to take today's world and move it forward and say, well, what would it look like if we had one platform? Well, that platform to me automatically is Windows. And because, Xbox and Windows are kind of the same, it's both Microsoft. They Xbox really is majority. It's just Windows. They just stripped away the Windowsy things that give you a desktop UI, and whatever else is needed to run productivity apps. They just pulled that out and said, "Hey, DirectX and a controller based UI, and that's your Xbox, right?" And it's like, well, marry the two together and let the consumer choose. Hey, I want to run my gaming rig in desktop mode, or I want to run it in gaming mode, and you're there, right? And if they can integrate the stores, which apparently they're looking at doing, right? So you can have the same store UI that you have in your Xbox, and it gives you all the games from Epic and Steam and whatever else. I mean, it's kind of the all-in-one interface, all-in-one box, and again, it's just the same code base. You're just running a Windows game. That could be a very compelling future for the development community, also for the consumers, right? Now you basically just get choices of whoever's hardware you want, no problem, right? You could buy the Sony Xbox, you could buy the Microsoft Xbox, you could buy the Lenovo one, you could buy the Dell one, the Asus one. It doesn't matter. You buy it, it's gonna run all the games, and ultimately you just want to play your games, right? And you plop this thing under your TV and hook it up, and it's gonna run in Xbox mode, and you can just play your games, right? And what the team at Xbox is trying to do is say, hey, we're going to have forward compatibility. So hopefully whatever you have on your Xbox library will just come with you. I don't know how that works with the other platforms. So if, let's say it's PlayStation, would they be able to give you something? I mean, they don't really have full backwards compatibility as it is, but maybe they do offer something where you can get the PC port of those games in some sort of subscription service or something. I don't know. We'll see, but it is a more interesting future to me. So I hope you found this informative. This is me kind of rambling on my thoughts of what this might look like if we did go to one platform. And hopefully I didn't stir a lot of hatred towards me because I'm saying it might be Windows and Xbox. I'm just looking at the obvious. To me, that just seems like the path forward. I don't really see BSD taking off with PlayStation as the OS du jour of gaming. It just seems like the path of least resistance is Windows. And then Nintendo's going to be Nintendo for a while, but I think they'll eventually fold into this as well. I don't know how long Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, if those continue to just keep pushing their hardware, but Nintendo's going to have to come to terms with this at some point as well. I think that might end up happening, but I'm open to disruption. I'm hoping there could be something weird that happens. That's awesome, but that's kind of the way I would see it. If we had one platform, I think it's going to be Windows, which essentially means Xbox kind of is the platform, because Windows and Xbox. So for those who don't know, also DirectX is kind of the Xbox team. They kind of own that piece along with Windows to kind of make that work. So the gaming environment of Windows is it is Xbox, and so that team is kind of working on what the future of gaming is on that platform. So it seems like a pretty clear cut path to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Throw some comments out there to see what you guys think. Hopefully this was a nice informative video, and I know I'm just rambling at this point, but hopefully you enjoyed this. All right, I'll catch you guys next time. Hey there, I wrote a book, and I'd love for you to check it out. If you want to check out my book, you can go to the link that's in this, right here, shop.chiny.us, and it will direct you towards the book's page in your country in Amazon, so you can go check it out there. And yeah, I'd love to see if you're interested, and let me know in the comments if you liked it. Better yet, leave a review on Amazon if you liked it, and enjoy the book. Thanks.